Resurrection. On May 25, 2006, 50-year-old Australian mountaineer Lincoln Hall achieved his dream of reaching the summit of Mount Everest after a previous failed attempt in 1984, but his celebration was short-lived. During the descent from the 29,029-foot peak, Hall began showing signs of severe altitude sickness. At 28,200 feet, he developed high-altitude cerebral edema, a life-threatening condition that caused dangerous swelling in his brain. The illness made him confused, disoriented, and combative. His Sherpa guides tried for hours to help him descend, but as nightfall approached and their oxygen supplies dwindled, Hall became unresponsive. Expedition leader Alexander Abramov made the heartbreaking decision to order the guides to leave Hall on the mountain and return to camp to save their own lives. At 28,540 feet, just below the summit, Hall was pronounced dead. A statement was released to the media, and his wife Barbara was notified that her husband had perished on Everest. But Hall wasn't dead. Through the freezing night, with temperatures plunging far below zero and howling winds, he lay unconscious on a narrow ridge above an 8,000-foot drop. Wearing inadequate gear for the conditions, Hall somehow survived 12 hours in conditions that should have killed him within minutes. The next morning, as an American climbing team led by Dan Mazur made their own summit attempt, they were shocked to discover Hall sitting cross-legged on the summit ridge, very much alive. When Mazur approached, Hall looked up and said calmly, "I imagine you are surprised to see me here." Though still confused and hallucinating from the brain swelling, Hall was conscious and able to speak. Mazur and his team immediately abandoned their own summit bid, knowing they had only one chance to save Hall's life. They gave him oxygen, warm clothing, and food, then began the dangerous process of helping him descend. The rescue required enormous sacrifice from Mazur's team, who gave up their only opportunity to summit Everest. Hall was eventually evacuated by helicopter from a lower camp and survived, though he lost the tips of several fingers and a toe to frostbite. He credited his survival to his study of Tibetan Buddhism and an unshakable will to live. Sahara Marathon Incident. On April 10, 1994, 38-year-old Italian police officer Mauro Prosperi lined up with approximately 80 other runners at the start of the Marathon des Sables, a grueling 156-mile ultramarathon across the Sahara Desert in Morocco. The former Olympic pentathlete had trained for months, running 25 miles daily while deliberately reducing his water intake to prepare for the brutal conditions. On the fourth day of the race, during the longest 57-mile stage, temperatures soared to 115 degrees Fahrenheit. At 1 p.m., after passing the third checkpoint, Prosperi was maintaining a strong 7th-place position when an unexpected sandstorm struck. The blinding storm completely disoriented him, and when it cleared hours later, Prosperi could see no other runners or race markers. He was utterly alone in the vast Sahara. For the first 2 days, Prosperi rationed his remaining water to half a bottle while walking during cooler hours to conserve energy. He ate only one energy bar, trying to make his food last. By day 3, dehydration was setting in severely. He was forced to drink his own urine to survive. On day 4, desperately searching for shelter from the scorching sun, Prosperi discovered a Marabou shrine, an ancient stone tomb. Inside, bats hung from the ceiling. Using his knife, he killed and ate the bats raw, drinking their blood for moisture. As his condition worsened, Prosperi wrote a goodbye note to his wife on the tomb wall and attempted to take his own life by slitting his wrists. But his blood was so thick from dehydration that the wounds wouldn't bleed enough to kill him. When he woke up alive, Prosperi found new determination to survive. He set off again into the desert, licking dew from rocks at dawn and hunting for insects and lizards to eat. He buried himself in sand at night to stay warm as temperatures plummeted. On day 8, he found a tiny oasis with a puddle of fresh water and drank until he was full. On day 9, barely conscious and weighing just 99 pounds, Prosperi was found by Algerian military authorities after wandering 180 miles off course and unknowingly crossing the border from Morocco into Algeria. Doctors said his liver had nearly failed, and he required extensive intravenous rehydration to restore his body.